Hello, this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network every Thursday at 1 p.m. And you can also find me on the Conscious Resistance YouTube channel and Conscious Resistance website. So today we have Elissa Hawke, who is an Australian comedian, healer, massage therapist, and anarchist, who will tell us a little bit about her status as a perpetual world traveler. So, Elissa, tell us how you became an anarchist.
I think everyone's an anarchist. We're obviously all born anarchists. We're free and we shouldn't have rulers. I mean, that's ridiculous to take authority from anybody. I mean, even as a kid, I didn't like taking authority from anyone. Oh, don't start me on bloody Christian Grey. What's that book called?
50 Shades of Grey.
The movie? Yeah, don't start me on that. But yeah, most of the time I don't like authority.
Most of
and
the time.
So we, it's so obvious. It's Psychology 101. If anybody has studied psychology out there, it's like you can pick who is what and what is who and all that. And it does probably have a lot to do with being spanked as children, let's face it. That's another topic we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the question, Danilo?
No, I just wondering how you became, or like maybe what influenced you, what books or personalities influenced your way of thinking?
Oh, I haven't really studied anything apart from the things that come before me for free, because I never buy anything like books. I haven't lived in a house for a long, long time, and I've lived out of a suitcase for at least 6 years, and I feel like everything before that I was a different world. But we're all anarchists, and we're meant to be anarchists. We're not meant to be ruled over. It's just that they've brainwashed us so well to really be scared of a world without police, a world without judges. We were all so well brainwashed to believe that they are the glue that holds our society in a nice place. Without police and judges, who would pick up the rubbish? Without police and judges, who would sweep the streets? It's like, not police and judges, but it's almost like if we don't get our rubbish collected by the government, who will drone bomb the kids in Pakistan? I mean, it's the other way around. But we all love what a great society can create. It's just that we've been brainwashed to think that we have to accept every other thing that entails, like going for these budgets for war, unending war on people that we know they make up these bullshit false flag events to blame it on other people. If we do a few hours research, and if we have the freedom to say it. Most people know this shit, but they don't have the freedom to say it because they're locked into a 40-year mortgage and a job that they have to hold down to pay that mortgage. And if they go to their job as a school teacher or a lawyer or anything else and say, oh, 9/11, I don't think a building can turn to dust by jet fuel, then everybody's going to out them in the local school circle or at the local lunchroom in the law office, and they're going to go, oh, so-and-so's a bit kooky, aren't they? So therefore, everybody's subtly controlled by and really the thing is, people just go, I don't know enough about that to make a call on that. Like, maybe those buildings did turn to dust from jet fuel. And the thing is, we do know enough about shit to make a call on stuff. Like, people say to me, how do you know what you know? And it's because I've learnt to trust myself. I spend a lot of time researching things that I want to know, and I use critical thinking, which means cross-referencing, meeting people, going out and learning about things personally, seeing how they make me feel, experiencing time with people and realizing, wow, they're very different from how I thought they were for the last 10 years of following their work, I've learned a lot of things lately about just don't follow anyone. We're all flawed. We're all fucked up. We're all hopeless. We're all stupid. We're all ugly. All of our shit stinks. And all of us have a God inside us that's beautiful and loving. And all of us can be sexy and attractive at different times and ugly. And so why the fuck are we caught in all this judgment all the time when we're all exactly the same?
Well said. I like your approach, especially with comedy, because I used to do stand-up comedy also, and I find that using comedy is a wonderful way to spread difficult and painful truths to people. It's like an icebreaker, right? People they get immediately defensive if you start attacking what they believe, for most of their life. But if you start making jokes and you get them to laugh a little bit, then you can slide these gems into their brain, and they're more easily accepted, right? So that's why I love.
For me, my experience, and I even noticed this because I watched a little of your comedy, and I really enjoyed it. But I just want to say, I noticed that what happens is laughing, right, is an involuntary physical action. You don't choose when you laugh, it just happens. You can go, ha 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 ha, but that's choosing to laugh. Or something can make you literally have that laughing spasm. So it's a diaphragmatic, involuntary reaction. And when people laugh at something because it's true, when they don't admit that truth in their daily life, and then they come to your comedy gig and they laugh at a joke because deep down they know 9/11 was bullshit, or they know something else didn't happen the way we're told it happened, then I find what those people do is they're sort of shocked by the fact that their own laughter is showing them, oh yeah, there is some shit around that. It's like when you first watch George Carlin talking about you are owned, people. It's a big club and you ain't in it. And you first time you see that, you have that realization like, oh, wow, it's like a big light is shone on things. It's like the first time I saw George Carlin shit about save the planet. Like, people, we do not need to save the planet. The planet is fucking fine. The people are fucked, you know? And you look at shit from a new perspective and you realize how much you've been brainwashed all your life to think, oh, yeah, we need to save the planet, you know?
Yeah, save the planet from the U.S. military, from the drone strikes, from the nuclear detonations. From that's what we need to save the planet from.
Yeah, I was watching something today about American Army generals talking about the global warming initiatives the Army is helping out with, and I'm like, oh, guys, just stop shooting, leaving depleted uranium all over the Middle East. That would be the best thing you guys could do. I'm not worried about the fucking sea rising 5 centimeters because that one, I don't even believe that global warming is an issue that governments can help us solve by taking our money. That's all. And then two, I also think, oh man, we're fucked if people think the army can help us with global warming.
We're just going to take guns and shoot at global warming, shoot at the carbon dioxide. Yeah. That's how you're going to solve it.
It's like the war on terror. It's like next is going to be the war on pain, and then the war on bleeding, and then we're going to have the war on death.
It's basically the war on words, right? You just pick an adjective and then go to war against it.
That's what all this thought crime stuff is, you know, like in Australia right now. I've got friends, actually comedians or people who thought they were comedians, but they're not comedians, man, because they are on this bandwagon to stop a woman getting a visa to come to Australia to talk against vaccines. And I'm like, what modern day person? It's like book burning. Like, can't you just live and let live? If you don't want vaccines, if you want to have vaccines, have them. But don't stop somebody else from coming to the country to talk about any subject. You know, I remember in the 80s, we kicked people out of the country who were coming to Australia who were Holocaust deniers or Holocaust revisionists. And these days, you can't do that anymore because they've had to change the plaque at Auschwitz. A lot of things we've become aware that a lot of things that we were told about the Holocaust have been not the way that we were told, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, take any historical event in public school, and you can take it apart with a fine-tooth comb, you know, and you can reveal a lot of inaccuracy with this.
Often the opposite is true.
Oh, yeah.
That's what spins me up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to look at what is funding the government schools, right? You know, if it's you know, stolen tax money that's funding the government schools, of course you're going to get taught historical facts that are going to be supportive of the government, right? And it's gonna
and the whole purpose of the system in the first place, from the Prussian, you know, indoctrination, schooling them like fish and everything else, it's unfolding. So you're a homeschooler. Tell me, how is it to have kids?
Oh.
How is it to be a parent? How is it to Homeschool. High five, bro. Because if I did have kids, I always think I'd homeschool them. And my friends go, Elissa, fuck off. If you had kids, you'd have nannies by the time you got home from the hospital. Which isn't true, actually. I think I wouldn't have nannies that soon, maybe 2 weeks in. But no, how's homeschooling?
Oh, so yeah, so my kids are 4.5-year-old son and 2.5-year-old daughter, and so a lot of people ask me, I guess they're still at the age where I can still say, they say, are they in school yet? I say, no, they're not in school yet. They're 4.5. Oh, okay, maybe they're going to kindergarten when they're 5. So I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. No, they're going to university, thanks, because I've been hot-footing them at home.
Yeah,
This one's into algebra, and this one's a home decorator.
I mean, yeah, my kids, they just, especially my son, he's, asking questions now, like, how do robots make clothes? How do robots make shoes? How do robots make toothpaste? And so I just show him a video on YouTube of a factory that's making toothpaste, and he's just riveted. He's focused on it because he loves to learn about it. And just imagine, like, what 4.5-year-old loves to look at a factory? Like
And what isn't on YouTube? Like every subject on earth has something on YouTube.
Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that the questions that he asks, that's the perfect time for education. That's when he's really ready.
Yeah, when he wants to know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So that's what you got to take advantage of, and you can't let that up. And so, he asks all kinds of questions. How far is the moon? What's the moon made of? Things like that. Yeah, but it's wonderful.
You should tell. The moon, darling, is 249,000 kilometers away. That's 250,000 miles. Actually, that's miles away. That's 240,000 miles further than any spacecraft has gone since 1971.
Nice. I gotta tell him that the next time.
Now, I just love talking to this girl Lali here like she's 25. I just talk to her all day about quantum physics and whatever, half in English, half in my bad Spanish, and she just loves it. She doesn't tune out. She actually listens more in a different way. She's like, oh, there's something there worth listening to, rather than if I'm going, a sad boy doesn't get a biscuit.
So tell me, how's life in Mexico since you moved there recently?
It's great. It's up and down. Always my life is up and down. I'm sort of a depressive, manic, crazy person in my own way. Like I am a real introvert, and I spend a lot of time going right into myself. I could spend 3 months in a room easily, Wow. But then I'm also a real extrovert. Yeah, like I'm really looking forward to Anarchapulco, the conference in 2 weeks in Acapulco.
Yeah.
Do you know about it?
Of course, I've been hearing all
it's
about
Anarchist.
it. Yeah. I would love to be
you
there.
should come, but I
Oh.
guess it's like impossible right now.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I know you have to get the whole family and passports and crap like that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's ridiculous.
And
To
yeah,
get back into the States, you need a passport. Yeah.
actually, the woman,
You could just stay.
the woman Dana Martin, are you familiar with her? She's a radical unschooler.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard one of her.
I just interviewed her a
It
few
was
days
great.
ago. So she was
Great.
a really, really awesome woman, and she's going to be there talking about radical unschooling. I think she's giving a workshop, right, on a few days.
Yeah, well, I would do it, except lucky for me, I'm really only raising a friend's puppy, and I'm fully into the full-on aggression policy with dogs. When a dog shits on your bed, you need to rub its nose in it, tap it on the nose, and outside. You cannot reason with a dog. You can't connect with a dog. Well, you can connect, but you do have to tap them on the nose. But kids, I totally don't believe in hitting kids, and I can say that because I don't have any.
Yeah,
But I really think it's bad. It's fucked up. It's so fucked up. And it must be incredibly hard to be a parent. I notice even babysitting my friend's kid, how frustrated I get certain days, certain times, certain moods. It's impossible to be a parent. But I don't think I'd let myself hit my kid if I had one. Not even small smack, I just think it's what prepares us for statism.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it prepares us to accept the cops coming with batons, and it's like, oh, mummy and daddy used to do this when I was a kid, so if the state wants to lock me up and give me time on the naughty mat, it can,
Yeah, it's true. Before we had kids, I was also like, if my kid is going to do something bad, I'm just going to hit him. It just makes sense because that's how I was brought up. But I started learning about Stefan
Good for
Molyneux.
you.
Yeah, I was learning about Stefan Molyneux, peaceful parenting, and learned about many things like that, and it changes my perspective has really changed with his approach, and so I really realized that kids are people also. They're not property, they're not your
Oh
slave,
yeah,
right? And they deserve
yeah,
respect also because they didn't choose to be your kids, right? They're basically your prisoners,
yeah,
so you have to treat them in a
yeah.
way that they're going to
Sort of.
love being your child. That if they had a choice between other
Yeah,
parents, that they would willingly choose you,
yeah.
right?
Oh, babe, you are so lovely. Your kids will choose you all the time. Don't worry. But you're right. It is, you do have to connect with them and not control them. This is a person you're going to know all your life if you're cool to them.
Yeah.
If you're not cool to them, they can fucking go anywhere. And lots of kids do go and live on the streets rather than put up with any bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of even power tripping used to drive me insane from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was about 3 or 4 years old, my dad was getting me in trouble for something, and I remember looking at him, and in my head I remember thinking, yeah, just fucking calm down, dude. Like, you're not better than me. You've just been here longer, you know? You've just had a few more times practicing opening the can, like,
Yeah.
or something like that. He might have been trying to teach me long division, and I got so mad at him, and I just remember looking at him like, you fucking actually think you're better than me. No, you've just had a bit more practice.
Yeah.
It's like when I was a kid, they asked me if I wanted to train as an Olympic swimmer, and I was like, why would I want to swim up and down a pool all day just to show people I had swum up and down a pool all day? I never had that kind of competitive spirit.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when I tell my family that we don't about the unschooling and about no spanking and about no vaccines and about various things like that. And when you want to raise your children in a different way that your parents raised you, sometimes they take that as a personal attack on the way they raised you.
Oh, I bet they do.
And
I bet they do. My mom always made jokes with me. She said, if you have kids and I babysit them, I'll take them down and get them bloody vaccinated. And I'm like, Mum, that's why I'm not leaving my children with you,
yeah.
And Mum says, I know that they'd be giving them lollies and treats and whatever, Coca-Cola when I wasn't there. And then they'd be like, we love Grandma. And I'd be like, no, you love fucking Coca-Cola and so do I. And that's why I've got some hidden in the top cupboard. But you're not ready for it yet.
Yeah, it's very sad how
That was
yeah. I mean, we make these choices, or I make these choices because of the things that we've researched, things that we've learned, books we've read, and it's not to anger our family that we choose these decisions, right? We do it because we consider them right and moral and humane way to raise children.
and not only, yeah, and also I think for us it's a much bigger realization that we've been used, screwed with really badly, and that these little things that we think are just normal, just the way things are, when we think things are just the way they are, then we just keep going along with it. But we really have to challenge each other about things that are stupid, like, smacking a kid with violence to control a behavior, when really what we're supposed to be doing is showing them their choices and the results of their choices.
So your parents were also pretty violent with you, spanking and all that?
Is it that fucking obvious? No.
No. Just
No, I
asking.
love my mum and dad ever, more than anyone. They're the best parents ever, and they always have been. But yeah, they smacked me. My mum went wild on me with the feather duster a few times. One time I jumped out my bedroom window, got in my car, and drove to my boyfriend's house. So I was like 17. I had a driver's license.
Wow.
But I was rude, and I was a bitch. I was a feisty and outrageously rude bitch. And if I was my mother, I probably would have done exactly the same thing. So therefore when I have kids, if I am ever lucky enough to have them, I would like to evolve that behavior somewhat, but I don't expect that I'll be able to. I think if I had a kid over a 20 or 30 or 40 year period of parenting it, that it's quite likely that I'll lash out and lose my temper sometime. It's not a matter of, if we fuck up sometimes, because emotions take over all of us at times, but it's just about setting principles and saying we don't want to control each other with violence, but occasionally I may still hit you if you really annoy me.
Well, I mean, force itself is not evil, right? There's a difference between the initiation force and self-defense, right? So a child, let's say, who defends himself against his parents or hits back, that's not really immoral, right? It's just defense.
Well, it's not at all. And I remember a time, and I don't want to make my family sound dysfunctional, because we're just as dysfunctional as every family. But I remember a day when my older brother was having a bit of argy-bargy with my dad, and, he was 16 or 17, and it was the day that my older brother kind of said to my dad, "I'll fucking call you back this time if you try and forcibly control me with your body." And I remember my mum and I watching on like, oh my God, this is like watching a David Attenborough documentary. Like, these two are going to tear each other apart like lions. And luckily, they both calmed down.
Yeah.
But all families have that. I'm sure they do. And if they don't, I think they have something far scarier.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's perfect, and I feel sometimes I lose my temper also. But you have to catch yourself, you have to calm yourself down, and you have to, think, what kind of lesson am I teaching my kid by losing my temper, or even by resorting to violence when I lost my temper, right? And
absolutely. Even silence can be violence. Smashing a cup on the ground can be violence. I've done violent things myself. I threw an iron at a boyfriend when I was in my younger days, and
wow.
I could have killed somebody at times. And I'm glad that I'm not in jail with a 50-year jail sentence for one moment of aggression that I had.
Yeah.
I also took other boyfriend's clothes and put them on the front lawn and put the hose all over them. When he came home, everything was wet. And, if somebody did that to my clothes, I would kill them. I love my clothes and I don't want them wet. So I know I'm unreasonable, and that's life. That's the joy of life, is that our actions fall outside of those boring, self-contained limits that we want most of the time. Thank God they fall outside those limits sometimes, because that's where life really is. That's where all the juice is. That's like the black keys on the piano. Mm-hmm. That makes the music.
Nice. Piano. Oh yeah, piano's awesome. So
you love
piano. Oh yeah, I'm a big time piano player since I was 12 years old.
You gotta have a jam today, man. I love piano. It's my favorite instrument. I have never played the piano apart from chopsticks on my grandma's piano a bit as a kid. But then I got a piano like a year or two before I left Australia. It was a 140-year-old piano. And it was a little out of tune, but just perfectly with itself. It sounded honky-tonk. And, oh, man, piano is just the happiest sound in the world. But I can hardly play it because the beauty of it almost shatters me.
So tell me why you love 50 Shades of Grey. That's always a fun topic.
Sure. Let's talk about it. It's taken the world by storm, which has basically shown me I'm not that much of a freak, and probably, I think a lot of women probably like it because it's like, he picks her up in a glider and he buys her a $5,000 Louis Vuitton, whatever. And I'm not interested in any of that shit. I'm totally into the hardware store and the sexual side of it. But that's only because, I don't know, I love hardware stores. I've had this thing for ferreterias. I love plumbing gear.
Nice.
I don't know. No, I was always I remember when I was young and I was sort of first finding out about sex and feeling my way through sex, and because I'm a really outgoing and strong and domineering, and everybody thinks I'm a lesbian, basically, kind of girl, and I have muscles, and I don't know, because I'm like that, I think a lot of boys think that I want to like tie them up and stick a pepper grinder up their ass. But I'm not into that shit. Like, I want to be the one tied up. I want to be the one, and then you feel bad wanting that because it goes against feminism and, oh God, women, we've got to be on top and the power and all that shit. It's like, I want to be on top and I want to be in control of everything. I want to be the boss of everything all the time in my life, except for when I'm fucking my boyfriend. You know, like, give me a break every now and then. Let me just lay there like Paris Hilton and be a starfish. And if you have to tie me, then that just makes me, that just makes it easy. And you don't have to pretend.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about how 50 Shades of Grey, people criticizing it like it's, supportive of rape and domestic abuse. But it's the women that love it, though. It's not like the men that love it and go out and, subjugate their women, right? It's the women that go and watch the movie. So they're actually, it's not really...
You know why? You know why women love it? Because men like that are really rare. Men who, a lot of women read romance novels because they're in an actual relationship, and no actual relationship is glorious or fun all the time or anything. No actual real relationship lives up to a book or any kind of romance bullshit like that. And a lot of women just like it for the romance of it. But I think a lot of women also are like, the men who take charge of women these days are really rare. It's an old-fashioned thing. Back in the 20s, the 30s, a man would be like, here's your coat, dear, and let me open the door for you, and I've booked your flight, and I've ordered you the steak, and all of that. And then women sort of, with women's lib and everything, which, the more you research, the more you realize it was a Rockefeller-funded and sponsored campaign, as much as it was also a desire for women to have equal political power as their counterparts. But you start to realize that we are hardwired to receive in that way as women. We are hardwired to give ourselves in that way to men. We are the receiving receptacles as such, and they are the penetrating force and all of that. It's as old as the hills. But nothing made it okay until I heard Angelina Jolie talking about being submissive. And then I realized, obviously, women who are quite powerful and strong and independent, they really like a man who comes in and just wipes the floor with that bullshit, because why are we talking about this? I do need a husband, though, so if anyone's out there, you just consider this my audition tape.
Nice.
I can cook. Oh, I'm a fucking crazy bitch. I was talking to my friend Tiger Lily today, and her husband and her have been married for 30 years or something, and he's the coolest guy. He just supports her and backs her up on all her anarchist principles, all her cop fighting stuff, and I'm like, there is a man out there crazy enough for some real wildcats, but, I like being single too. I am devoted to God. I gave my life over to God 6 years ago. Not when I say God, I just mean the glorious all. I don't mean a man in the sky or any religion or anything. I just mean the sand of the stars, the galaxies. I gave myself to that, and I don't try and make my own plans anymore. I try and just say, you tell me what you want to do next, and I'll do it by what is exciting. And then feel like I'm working for the greatness of all. And that's why I make every single Facebook comment I make, or any single massage I do, or any single comedy joke I make. It's all for the perpetuation of humans growing out of this enslavement. Because that's what we have to do right now, while it's fresh.
But you have to pay your taxes.
I think it's the time. Taxes, schmaxes. You know what? You don't pay your taxes if you learn to be a citizen of the world. A citizen of the world, nobody can tax you because they don't own you. It's fucking easy, especially for an American, or you just go down over the border, catch a bus. It's so easy for you guys. You're insane if you don't live half the year in Mexico or in Canada or in any other part of Central America or Europe or anywhere, but I would be making other options. Anybody on earth should be making options to be light-footed in the next 20 years, because to me it looks like there could be a really major war or man-made event or maybe HARP-made event or major earthquake or something could be Yellowstone National Park, or it could be a sun pulse. But the way the military is set up to overtake the people in the first world countries these days makes me very suspicious and think that it's set up that way because it's planned to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not going to get out of New York City if something happens in a hurry. You're not going to be able to get out of there. You're going to be their victim. That whatever they want to do with you, unless you work out some way to go rogue, and it's not going to be easy when it comes to a martial law situation. But I don't know. I am a panicker. Like I said to my friend, I would have said this to you in 2009 as well. And like it's 2015 now and nothing's happened. So maybe you got another 6 good years ahead of you. But I don't think so. I think the Boston bombing, fakery, I think it's really all hotting up.
Nothing happened other than, the drone strikes in Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, right? The invasions, the occupations,
Syria.
the assassinations.
Yeah.
Nothing other than
Yeah.
other than that.
Nothing happening to the Americans really, apart from martial law on Boston in 2013.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I've discussed with my wife about, moving to another country, but it's very difficult with her because, she came from Romania. She grew up under communism, and so she was like, talk about strict statism. She was really, under.
I just had a Russian boyfriend. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just had a Russian boyfriend. I learned a little bit about what communism was like, and I was like, wow, I need to study history, man. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. They can make whole countries of people live like that?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, Elissa.
Yeah, it's amazing. So she grew up in that, and so, it's deeply ingrained in her that, you have to go to school, you have to get a job, you have to obey the law, you have to pay your taxes, all these things you just have to do. And
beautiful that you have come together. Like, this is what the world is doing now. It is forcing these polar opposites to come together and work out which one's going to crumble and which one's going to thrive. Mm-hmm. Because really, a lot of the time, something is righter and something is wronger, and we can tell from how it feels to us. But it's hard to tell how it feels to us because everything else around us and all the lights and glitter and action is telling us the opposite,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so my wife, she still clings to a lot of indoctrinated fear, which is very difficult to dispel because, when you go through 12...
You must be the most annoying husband on earth for a woman like that. But I'm so proud that you still manage to hold yourself intact, Danilo, because I think you're really special. And I think that even with a wife and kids and all those commitments, to be able to hold true to your ideals is really powerful and wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, my wife sometimes doesn't feel comfortable with the things that I write or post, or the articles and videos that I talk, things I talk about, because she feels like I'm drawing attention to myself, from the government,
yes.
right? But I tell her there's bigger people. There's bigger people than me. I'm a small person. I
think that's wonderful. I had this discussion with a friend of mine from the People's Voice called Ken O'Keefe, and he's a very well-known, very militant activist against all war and he's a humanitarian, and he goes really strong against Israel. And he said to me, I know I'm just the sort of guy that they would love to kill me and kill my wife and kids and say it was a murder-suicide and all that. And I said, how do you keep going even though you know it could happen to your kids? And I already knew the answer myself. Really, the answer is because this is the work we're here to do. We're making a better world for everyone, not just our kids. We can't just shut up all of these ideals because we want everything to go smooth for our little family. We want things to be good for people in Somalia and for people in Syria and Iraq and America and Australia in 2 generations, 3 generations. We don't want it just to be good we just want our money now so that we can stay rich and fat. No, we want to think about what's good for humanity all over. And that's how we all have to start acting and stop thinking about, oh, it's just, oh, I'm all right, Jack, you know. I've got to just, as long as I feed my family, fuck that. Let your fucking kids starve. Some of us have to start thinking about billions of all of us now and for many years into the future. 50 years we have to start looking. 100 years. What are the plans of our owners for us in the next 50 and 100 years? I mean, you're looking at the Hunger Games at the minimum in 50 years. That's what our owners want to do to us in 50 years. But we don't have a 50-year long-term plan. All we care about is, am I getting enough money to feed myself and keep paying my mortgage and keep my little nice life and all that? It's like, I'd rather starve on the street. I'd rather my own kids even starve. I hate to say it, but I think all of us have to start thinking about our aspect, our connectedness to everything and everyone.
Yeah.
And having said that, I want a bacon sandwich for dinner, so that doesn't apply to bacon.
If I self-censor myself because I feel like something might happen to me or my kids, I feel like that's the lesson that teaches my kids is that, you know, you should fear authority and you should fear those people that are more powerful and that have all the guns.
And that some of glorious you that was given to you or a product of your mechanics and your cells, or maybe you are a receiver for something grander that's come through you. Who are you to decide that you should censor it? And who is anyone else to ever decide to censor what you may be channeling from outside of yourself? Or what you may have brought up from and grown from within yourself. Nobody should ever censor anybody, ever. Because we need to accept that that is a part of us. Whoever it is, Pol Pot, Hitler, it doesn't matter who it is, it's a part of us. Might be a part of us that we don't like, it's a part of us.
Yeah, and you know, talking about dictators, you know, I like to think about Larkin Rose, who basically said that, you know, I'm not afraid of the dictators, of the Pol Pots, the Hitlers, the you know, the Stalins. Those people don't fear me because those people did not murder millions of people, right? It was the idiots, the statists, the, you know, the order followers
They're doing their job.
that did just doing their job are the ones that committed all the evil things that we learn about in the history books, the genocides, the wars, you know, the democide, mass murder. Those.
I bet you, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have the stomach to do the soldier's job of killing with the actual physical weapons. But a lot of soldiers wouldn't have the stomach to decide who's to be killed. And they'd just rather take the job of being bossed around. So everybody plays a different part at a different time. And if we're eternal, it doesn't matter what part we play. If we are eternal, then I kill you this lifetime. Next lifetime, you can kill my kid. The lifetime after that, your kid can kill my cousin. You know, and we'll all just go around and it'll be a big collage. And it doesn't matter when we know we are the spirit. But the material does matter when we're here because, you know, if you do something stupid, you have to live for 40 or 50 or 100 or 80 years with the pain of that act on your conscience. It's a long life, man, when you hate yourself for something you've done.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen the movie American Sniper? I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure you've heard about it though, right?
I've heard a little about it. All I know is that fucking shill, fucking yuck, Boston bomb shill actor Bradley Cooper got the main role in it. And he also shilled himself with Jeff Borman at the Boston bombing hoax, the guy who supposedly got 2 legs blown off and then got wheeled for 400 meters in a stretcher past an ambulance, didn't pass out even though both his legs had been blown off, sitting there smiling on the wheelchair. All that's who Bradley Cooper is. And I wouldn't pay money to see that movie if you tied me down and stole my bank card because I hate those assholes. But tell me about it. How was it?
No, I didn't see it either.
I've heard it's horrible now.
I didn't see it either. I mean,
no, just people tell me it's really nasty propaganda and it makes Iraqi people look like dumb pigs and animals.
Actually,
and it makes Americans look like superheroes.
Actually, I've heard that Clint Eastwood, the one who directed it, is actually he has libertarian leaning. So his desire was to make war seem, you know, horrific and, you know, like an atrocity. And so, you know, that's why he depicted Chris Kyle killing, you know, a woman and her child, from from like I don't know, hundreds of meters away. And
Well, if he really wanted to be controversial, he should have put in a scene where, they fucked little boys in front of their mothers, the soldiers, and stuff like that, which has been coming out in the last month. If you really want to be controversial, talk about what's controversial. Not shooting a woman and a child. Everyone shoots women and children. I could shoot a woman and a child. But can you tell me those big macho soldiers hold down little boys and fuck them in the ass in front of their mothers?
yeah,
What the fuck causes that on this planet? And not just one guy doing it. It's across the board. It's a sickness happening to many, many soldiers. It's a power trip. It's a game, and it's a blackmail, and they're all as sick as each other, and they hate themselves when they come back. My friends' brothers and sisters are in there, and their lives are fucked, man.
yeah. And then these people come back. They come back broken, with PTSD, and then we're supposed to feel sorry for them because they chose to go over there.
I do feel sorry for them, and I do believe they can heal, but I think that they might need some serious kind of metaphysical healing, like shamanistic medicines and plant medicines, spirit medicines. I think that the average psychologist can't deal with their problems. I think most of them don't want to heal because they hate themselves, because of all the shit they did. And, that's why they all kill themselves, because it's easier to kill yourself, but it doesn't end there. That's the beautiful thing about eternity, is that that's just when it begins.
Yeah. It's quite.
Well, many people say, "Oh, not everyone has a conscience, Elissa. You can't leave things to natural law because most people don't have consciences. You're the only one with a conscience." It's like bullshit. Every single being has a conscience. Every single being has a conscience. And just because we don't listen to our conscience at times or for our whole lives, like if you're a severe atheist and you don't see the interconnectedness of all things, like some atheists can still somehow have a very spiritual leaning, but it might not be God-like, but they still recognize that even though there's no God, things are divine. But a lot of atheists, that's the sort of belief system that can allow you to be like, well, I can do anything because everything just, nothing matters. Everything just rots in the ground. Like, I can do something to someone, and when they're dead, the story's over. But it's not like that, I don't believe. I mean, my knowledge from my experiencing life after death with people, you can watch some of my videos to learn about that stuff, with mediums and things like that, is that we don't die. We don't end when we die, and we do get a chance to deal with our life's conundrums even after we pass sometimes. But maybe that's just conjecture that's useless for some people. But I'd like to say, I used to massage a guy who was a Vietnam vet in Australia, and I was like, oh, it must have been terrible, the war. When I was first massaging him about 10 years at the start, I massaged him for maybe 10 years, and he used to say, war? No, mate. We were young boys, and we were getting a plane ticket overseas. And when we got there, we were given guns and uniforms to tramp around. He said every time we got a haircut there, we got a head job at the same time. Like, we were getting our dicks sucked and our heads shaved, and we had a gun, and it was fun for us boys, Even though they did have to kill gooks, or Vietnamese people, as most people know them.
Yeah.
So I said to him, when did your conscience kick in? He was like, when I first met him, he was like, well, you don't have a conscience, mate. Everyone's doing it. It's war. Well, by the end of the time I'd known him, 10 years later, he was saying to me, you know what? I'm starting to see ghosts in the mirror when I shave.
Yeah.
When I shave my face. And he told me I killed 8 people in Vietnam. And 2 of them I killed by hand, and 6 of them with bullets, like he shot. Yeah. But 2 of them he killed by hand, and he said those 2 are in his fucking mirror while he's shaving in the mornings. And he's like 75 years old now, so it's amazing. He had 30 good years going, I don't have a conscience, I'm fine about the war, I don't regret it, I've made comfort with myself, I've made peace with myself. But deep down in him, there was these little ghosts waiting to appear in the mirror to make him realize that he took 2 lives, Yeah. But they may have taken his life in another time, or they may take his life next life. Who knows? If he doesn't if they don't forgive him, they might want to get back in some way, I don't know, it depends. It's all just conjecture, but I know that energy can't die, and I've been to a lot of mediums. I've done research on mediums for 20 years, and I really believe that some people can connect with the dead, and that when we're dead, we're still intact as our self. Not so much our ego, but our soul. And our soul contains all of our lives, as well as this one right now.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that I do write and do make my videos and the interviews is because I want to leave a lasting record of my thoughts, right, for the future. And,
Yeah!
So it's a way.
I love that.
It's a way to gain immortality in a sense, right? In the same way that musicians, when they or composers, when they compose music, that's basically immortal. That carries the soul of them throughout the ages, right? So that's
it's the Akashic record records everything, but music is so beautiful the way it's recorded in us, and anyone who ever hears it. Like when I used to play gigs, I played in a lot of cafes and bars where everyone was talking, and my little pathetic songs were so quiet, and I'm just noodling away in the corner. But I really didn't give a shit because I know that people are getting it in their Akashic record for eternity. It can never be burnt out of their soul. Their ear might not be listening to every single word, but they're stuck with my song in their cells forever. So I'm comfortable with that shit.
Yeah, and talking about the dead and eternity of our souls. I remember a quote which said, "An atheist is a dead atheist is a man who's dressed up to go nowhere, dressed up nicely." Right?
That's cute. That is really cute.
So
I just reckon. I always say I was an atheist, and I'm so glad I was brought up an atheist, because the Bible really fucked me up. I was like, Easter bunnies, chocolate, Jesus, Mary, virgin, I don't get it. Yeah. But my dad basically said, darling, it's all bullshit. We came from apes. So I was like, oh, cool, we came from apes. But a few things about that worried me, like the fact that my friend really looked like an ape, and also the fact that there were still apes at the zoo. I was like, are they going to mind being in the zoo when they become human? But anyway, I realized they didn't evolve that fast.
Yeah.
But when I took magic mushrooms at age 18, I found God. I found God in every leaf, in every grain of sand, in every apple, in every Saturn galaxy, in every thing and in no things, in every space and in every place, in everything that was, may ever be, and may never be. All of that is the potential that is God. And people go, I don't believe in God. I go, God doesn't give a fuck what you believe. You are God. You don't need to believe in yourself. I can fucking see you.
Yeah. I mean, I usually tell people, like, I grew up also basically atheistic, no religion basically, and I studied world religion basically on my own, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, I found all of them to be fascinating. I was reading the Bible at one time. I never finished it, though. It was like halfway through it. But I just read it.
I just got to like Stephen begat Michael begat Trevor, and I was like, get fucked.
I like the way Voltaire describes the Bible. He says if you look at it from a purely literary perspective, it's a nice, entertaining book. And that's about it. It's a book of fiction. That's what
Voltaire,
it is.
One of my favorite writers. Voltaire is like Oscar Wilde. On every page there is so much philosophical genius that Voltaire makes me realize how retarded intellectually people are now compared to in the 1600s.
Yeah.
If that was common in the 1600s, work like that, imagine if someone laid one of Voltaire's works on us today.
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody just went, yeah.
Yeah, I love Voltaire.
It would be so exciting, but it's not going to happen because we aren't that smart anymore. We're not that philosophical. We've been fucking ruined. But some of us have little aspects and moments of clarity.
But
I always found Voltaire fantastic.
But we have Common Core, so, we should be getting smarter soon, right?
Well, that's what they tell us, like, There's a guy called Chris Cantwell, and he's an anarchist, and I read one of his articles. It was really funny, and I was like, he's cool. And then I went and sort of liked his site or whatever, and then I saw he was advertising smart drugs like nootropics, and I'm like, guys, you can't make yourself smarter with smart drugs. Just take some freaking good food. Yeah. Oh, God, and breathe. Fucking exercise. Move the blood around in your limbs. A pill is not gonna fucking help your brain. You know what is good for your brain though? Marijuana doubles brain cell growth in rats.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm not a big.
Well,
I've never really big into drugs or anything, but I have no problem with them. People are free to do what they want.
Time.
That's the beauty of volunteerism.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Johns Hopkins or Stanford or one of those CIA-sponsored MK Ultra universities says it's good for you. So I reckon make up your own mind.
Exactly. Cool. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but let people know where they can find your work, your blog, your writing.
Okay, thank you, darling. Well, if anyone's coming to Anarchapulco or has any urge to ever go to Mexico, come to Anarchapulco in 2 weeks. The 24th or the 25th of February, there are workshops starting, and there's awesome workshops. There's the unschooling parenting workshop. There's Luke Radowski is doing a change media, learning how to be independent journalist workshop, which is, you can't learn from anyone more cool than Luke. He's really, he fucking walks his talk. And somebody's doing an entrepreneurs camp. It's a really good festival, a lot of speakers about Bitcoin and precious metals and all sorts of different people thinking outside the box. Really going to be an interesting conference. A bunch of anarchists in one place. I suppose we'll eat each other's children. We'll probably get naked, fuck each other. They'll be speeding. What else do people do when there's no police?
Raw milk.
They'll be littering.
Yep, raw milk.
Drugs.
Marijuana.
There'll be raw milk. I'll be squirting raw milk everywhere. I buy raw milk up the road here in Mexico. It's lovely raw milk. Oh, I love it. And if it kills me, at least I died happy.
Unregulated lemonade stands.
What else?
Unregulated lemonade stands, I assume.
Yeah. You can't have those.
Awesome.
And I've got, well, unregulated, all sorts of things. But then ElissaHawke.com is my blog, and that's where you can find out how to make marijuana medicine, where my new film is. And it's not a film, it's like a 5-minute YouTube, and it's retarded. I'm not Steven Spielberg, but it shows you the steps. And then my retreats. Come to Mexico and have a yoga and massage and juice retreat. The website is cocolocas.wix.com/cocolocas/retreats.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put that.
And I'll give that to an email or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that in the description of the video so people can access that easily.
Thank you. Thanks for seeking me out for a chat. I love all that you do on Facebook, and I love watching your comedy, but I love that you're a really sensible anarchist on Facebook. You're the sort of anarchist that I show my parents to, and I go, Mum, Dad, look at what anarchists are today. They're fucking lovely, and we should all be.
Well, I'm sure.
So thanks for having me, darling.
No problem. Thank you. However, I'm sure my wife's family would disagree with you on that one, but that's their thing. Awesome.
Look, I've never been married, but I've been enough in love to know how shit it can be and how good it can be. So just enjoy the good and the bad. Enjoy it all, man, because it's a really special thing.
Yeah, it's very difficult to enjoy my mother-in-law, but I try.
I love that you do mother-in-law jokes every 15 minutes. I can't believe your wife even stays married to you. You made jokes about mom. Oh my God, she'd get out the feather duster.
Oh, my wife, she had a lot of great material with my wife. That was Very important. And by the way, my wife never went to one of my shows. She never attended one of my shows.
Well, that's good. That is good, Danilo. Trust me. My parents would never have let me go on American Idol as a contestant either. Trust me, sometimes it's good that your people around you are not your fans because it makes you strive harder. It does. And you know what else? Everyone's meant to be different. It's good. It's really good. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Elissa, for the conversation.
No worries. Thanks, Danilo. And thank your wife for being the way she is because, that's going to make you better. It's going to make you strive harder.
Yes, I think she teaches me stuff about, things that I need to learn and vice versa. So we're both learning.
She sounds like a good woman. Good. Okay, well, I'll
Awesome.
hopefully meet her one day and you two in person.
Hopefully, yeah, definitely. If we get down to Mexico one day. So thank you very much. This is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network and the Conscious Resistance Network. Wishing all of you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.